The meeting lasted 11 minutes. Not an hour. Not a long, drawn-out debate. 11 minutes. A chief analytics officer walked into a conference room asking for $8 million to fund a 3-year intelligence transformation. New platforms. New talent. New ways of working. The slides were immaculate: vendor logos, architecture diagrams, benchmark stats, promises of a smarter company. The CFO listened calmly, all the way to the end, and then asked one question. What's the return? And here's the thing, the CAO wasn't unprepared. They pulled out a familiar line. Data-driven organizations are more likely to acquire customers, more likely to be profitable. Big numbers. Strong claims. The CFO nodded, then asked again, a little slower. That's about other companies. What return will we get on this $8 million? You can hear the air leave the room, right? The CAO tried to translate. Better decision-making across the business. Better forecasting. Faster insights. More informed strategy. And the CFO said something that ended the conversation. Those are activities. I asked about returns. Revenue. Cost reduction. Margin improvement. Cash flow. In dollars. With a timeline. Meeting over. Not approved. The $8 million turned into a $400,000 pilot, and even that came with a condition: clear ROI milestones before anything else would be funded. If you've led analytics, data science, or intelligence in any organization, you've probably lived some version of this scene. Intelligence leaders talk in capabilities. Finance leaders talk in returns. 2 languages, and far too often, no translation. And the uncomfortable truth is this: the CFO wasn't being unreasonable. If we're asking for strategic money, we need a strategic return thesis. When we can't articulate that, we position intelligence as a cost center that produces vague, better decisions, instead of a value engine with measurable impact. Today we're going to solve that gap. This is the Intelligence Edge. I'm Nakel Nakima, and this episode is about intelligence ROI, how organizations calculate it, communicate it, and actually capture it. I'm joined by 4 leaders who've been in the arena, people who have had to defend intelligence investments and then live with the accountability of delivering results. Dr. Lian Zhou is an APAC AI transformation expert. She's advised organizations across Asia-Pacific, and one thing she's known for is connecting intelligence capability to financial outcomes, not just technical progress. Maria Alvarez is a data governance leader. She's the person you want in the room when ROI claims start to get slippery, because she knows credibility lives or dies on definitions, tracking, and defensible measurement. Jonas Richter specializes in data ethics and compliance, and he brings a critical reminder: when you claim ROI, you're making causal claims that influence budgets, priorities, and careers. Getting it wrong isn't just a math error. And Kwame Mensah is an intelligence systems architect who builds with measurement in mind from day one. His approach is simple and demanding: if you want to prove value, you have to design systems that make value provable. So let's frame the big question. We can calculate ROI on a factory. We can calculate ROI on a marketing campaign. We can calculate ROI on hiring a sales leader. Why is intelligence ROI so hard to prove? Dr. Zhou, start us off. Why does this feel uniquely difficult for analytics and intelligence?
Because intelligence isn't usually the final product. It's an intermediate input. A factory produces units you can count and sell. A marketing campaign has a window you can measure. But intelligence produces information that influences decisions, which influence actions, which influence outcomes. Each step adds uncertainty. Second, these investments are enabling. Platforms and intelligence capabilities don't neatly start and stop. They keep running and supporting many decisions over time. That makes boundaries blurry. Third, ROI depends on the counterfactual: what would have happened without this investment? And in most organizations, we can see what happened, but we can't directly observe what would have happened instead. So we're comparing reality to an alternate timeline. That's inherently hard. But I want to add something. This isn't exclusive to intelligence. Brand marketing carries similar attribution problems. R&D has long horizons and uncertain payoff. The difference is those functions have accepted frameworks for estimating value. Intelligence is still building that muscle.
Kwame, from the systems side, is it just inherently hard, or are we making it hard through the way we build?
We're making it hard. Most intelligence systems are built to deliver insights, not to prove impact. So what do we instrument? We track dashboards viewed, reports generated, models deployed, recommendations sent. Those are activity metrics. They describe output volume, not business value. What usually isn't tracked is what happened next. Did someone follow the recommendation? Did the decision change? What outcome occurred? Did that outcome improve? Even when the business outcome is recorded somewhere, say, in a CRM or an ERP, it's often disconnected from the analytics event that influenced it. The CRM knows a deal closed. The model knows it scored the lead. There's no linkage. And then there's the missing baseline. ROI needs a comparison point. What was decision quality before the investment? Most organizations didn't capture that, so later they can't credibly say what changed. None of these are laws of nature. They're design choices. We can architect for insight to outcome traceability. We just usually don't.
Maria, if someone listening says, okay, fine, let's measure ROI, what does governance have to do with making that measurement believable?
It has everything to do with it. Without governance, ROI becomes an argument, not a calculation. You need at least 4 layers. First, metric governance. What counts as a valid outcome metric? How revenue is defined, how costs are allocated, how margin is calculated. If teams use different definitions, the ROI number is just a negotiation. Second, attribution governance. When outcomes have multiple causes, how do we assign contribution? If we decide that after the fact, everybody will claim credit for wins and avoid losses. Third, baseline governance. What are we comparing against? Pre-investment performance, control groups, benchmarks. This choice can change the ROI dramatically, so it needs to be documented and defensible. And fourth, audit governance. Could someone independent come in and replicate the results? If your ROI can't survive scrutiny, you shouldn't use it to make funding decisions.
Jonas, I want to pull on that. We tend to treat ROI like a technical debate, what's the number, what's the method, but you see an ethical dimension here.
Absolutely. ROI claims shape resource allocation and people's careers. If you overstate ROI, you're not just selling the vision. You're misleading decision makers, pulling investment away from other priorities, and building reputations on inaccurate claims. If you understate ROI, that's harmful too. Valuable capabilities get defunded. Teams doing real work lose support. The organization underinvests because value exists but remains invisible. And attribution disputes are often fairness disputes. If analytics claims too much credit, operational teams feel erased. If operations dismiss intelligence contributions, analytics teams get treated like overhead. The ethical obligation is accuracy, with honesty about uncertainty. Not inflation, not deflation, and definitely not pretending complex causality is a single precise number.
So we've set the tension. Finance demands dollars and timelines, intelligence often offers capabilities and activity counts. Let's build a shared framework. Dr. Zhou, if you were teaching a group of executives how intelligence creates value, how would you categorize it?
I use 4 value levers. Lever 1 is revenue enhancement, intelligence that helps you sell more or sell better. Targeting, pricing, retention, upsell, market opportunity discovery. The logic is simple, revenue with intelligence minus revenue without. Lever 2 is cost reduction, intelligence that cuts waste and improves efficiency. Process optimization, fraud prevention, better resource allocation. This is often easier because cost tracking is usually stronger than revenue attribution. Lever 3 is risk mitigation, preventing bad outcomes. Compliance monitoring, early warnings, defect detection, security signals. The value here is losses avoided, which means estimating probabilities and impacts of events that may not happen. Lever 4 is speed and agility, shortening the time from signal to action. Faster decision cycles can capture opportunities and prevent small issues from becoming expensive crises. It can be the hardest lever to quantify, but in fast markets it can be decisive. And most real intelligence systems touch more than one. A forecasting system can boost revenue through availability, reduce cost via inventory optimization, and reduce risk through fewer stockouts.
Kwame, I love frameworks, but listeners are going to ask, how do you actually measure these levers in real systems?
Each lever needs slightly different instrumentation. For revenue enhancement, you track revenue impacting decisions at the entity level. Which leads got prioritized? Which customers got offers? What prices were recommended? Then you connect those decisions to conversion and value in your CRM and finance systems. The best case is experimentation, A/B testing, where you withhold recommendations from a subset and compare results. Not always possible, but it's the cleanest causal evidence. For cost reduction, you identify operational cost drivers. Labor hours, fuel, scrap rates, cycle times, rework. Then you measure the change when intelligence is deployed and compare it to areas without the change. Time series analysis with controls can help. For risk mitigation, you define specific risk events and track both incidents and near misses. If the system flags fraud that gets blocked, record it. If fraud happens, record whether it was missed. Then you estimate the expected incident rate without the system using history. For speed and agility, you timestamp the decision chain, signal detected, insight generated, decision made, action executed. Then convert the time advantage into value, opportunities captured earlier, escalations prevented. But it all depends on linkages. If the analytics output doesn't connect to the operational outcome and then to a financial value, you'll be stuck at activity metrics again.
Maria, when all four levers are in play and multiple teams contribute, attribution can turn into a political fight. How do you prevent that?
By setting rules before the results show up. First, define contribution sharing in advance. You can use different models, equal splits, regression-based allocation, or agreed percentages based on process design. The key is deciding before you know whether the outcome is good. Second, insist on margin, not just revenue. If intelligence helps close a deal but it's low margin or loss-making after costs, flashing revenue impact can be misleading. Third, separate correlation from causation. If outcomes improve after a model goes live, you still need to ask, what else changed? Seasonality, product launches, pricing shifts, market demand, those can all drive performance. And fourth, require independent verification for big claims. Once ROI crosses certain thresholds, it shouldn't be validated only by the team that benefits from the headline.
Jonas, give us a moral compass here. What principles should guide ROI attribution so it doesn't become propaganda?
5 principles. 1. Be honest about uncertainty. If it's an estimate, say it's an estimate. 2. When uncertain, be conservative. You can revise upward with stronger evidence later. Overstating and walking it back damages trust. 3. Account comprehensively. Include costs, not just benefits. Include failures, not just wins. 4. Use consistent methodology. Don't celebrate a method when it yields a good number and reject it when it yields a bad one. 5. Be transparent with stakeholders. Share the assumptions and the logic. If you can't show your work, you shouldn't expect the organization to fund based on it.
Now we get practical. If you're sitting across from that CFO, you need more than philosophy, you need methods. Dr. Zhou, walk us through the main ways organizations calculate intelligence ROI.
There are 4 common methodologies. First is before and after comparison. Measure performance, deploy intelligence, measure again, attribute the delta. It's easy to explain, but it can't isolate intelligence impact from everything else. Second is control group comparison. Randomly assign or match similar entities into treatment and control groups, then compare outcomes. It's the closest to causal proof, but it requires operational discipline and sometimes means withholding a benefit from part of the organization. Third is benchmarking. Compare yourself to external peers or best-in-class standards and attribute performance differences to intelligence capability. Useful when you lack internal baseline data, but it's not strong causal evidence by itself. Fourth is bottom-up value estimation. You trace specific decisions influenced by intelligence to their outcomes, estimate the counterfactual, compute value for each decision, then aggregate. The strongest ROI cases don't rely on only one method. They use multiple and look for convergence. If 3 different approaches point to similar value, confidence rises.
Kwame, bottom-up value estimation sounds like the most real, but also like a lot of work. What does it look like when you build it properly?
It looks like a pipeline, not a spreadsheet. Step 1, identify decision instances. Pull all the moments where intelligence influenced a decision: lead scored, prices recommended, replenishment suggestions, risk alerts. Step 2, attach outcomes to each instance. Did the lead convert? What was the deal value? Did the pricing recommendation increase margin? Did the inventory change prevent a stockout? Step 3, estimate a counterfactual for each instance. That could be historical baseline rates, matched comparisons, or a model-based expected outcome without the system. Step 4, compute instance-level value, actual outcome minus counterfactual. Step 5, aggregate. Sum those values across thousands of decisions to get gross value. Step 6, subtract the real cost of the investment: technology, people, data, integration, change management. The hard part is scale. Manual tracking breaks immediately. You need automated linkages between analytics, operational systems, and finance values. But once you have it, you stop begging for budget with promises. You show performance with evidence.
Maria, when methodologies get complex, governance becomes the guardrails. What needs to be governed specifically in the calculation itself?
4 things. First, documentation. Every ROI report should clearly state the method, why it was chosen, assumptions, data sources, and how the math was done. Second, assumption validation. If your counterfactual relies on historical performance, confirm that conditions are comparable. If they're not, adjust. Third, sensitivity analysis. Don't present a single number like it came from physics. Show a range. What happens if attribution share changes? What if baseline estimates are off by 10 or 20%? Fourth, consistency. Once you pick a method, use it consistently period over period. If you change it, document why, and ideally re-baseline prior periods so comparisons remain meaningful.
Jonas, the moment we get into methodology, there's also opportunity for gaming. What should leaders watch out for?
3 patterns show up. 1 is specification searching. Try enough versions of the model and you'll find one that gives the number you want. It's the ROI equivalent of shopping for an answer. A safeguard is committing to the methodology before you look at the results. If you change it later, you disclose that. 2 is asymmetric skepticism. Good results get accepted. Bad results get endlessly questioned until they become less bad. That automatically inflates reported impact. 3 is disappearing failures. The projects that didn't deliver quietly vanish from memory, and only success stories become the narrative. That biases organizational belief about the intelligence function. Ethically, you track and report the full portfolio, not just highlights.
So we can calculate ROI. But anyone who's tried to get funding knows calculation isn't the finish line. Communication is. Dr. Zhou, if you had to coach a CAO walking into that CFO meeting again, what would you tell them about presenting value?
5 principles. First, open with financial language. Lead with margin, payback period, ROI percentage, and time horizon. If you can't say what the organization gets back and when, you haven't answered the question. Second, connect the value to strategic priorities. If leadership is focused on market share, show how intelligence drives acquisition and retention. If it's profitability, show margin improvement. Third, show the math. Don't just announce a result, walk through the logic, sources, and assumptions. Fourth, acknowledge uncertainty with ranges. People trust a credible range more than a suspiciously precise number. Fifth, pair numbers with stories. Numbers validate, but stories make value memorable. A single vivid example of a prevented stockout or averted loss can make an ROI case feel real.
Kwame, communication is easier when reporting is built in. How do you make ROI reporting continuous instead of a scramble before budget season?
You operationalize it. First, a value dashboard that updates regularly, decisions influenced, outcomes recorded, value attributed, cumulative ROI. Second, value cards for major use cases. A one-page view that says, here's what this system does, how widely it's used, what value it's generating, and whether that value is trending up or down. Third, value alerts. If a major event occurs, huge cost avoided, major deal influenced, serious risk intercepted, stakeholders hear about it quickly. Fourth, periodic deep dives, quarterly or semi-annually. Dashboards are great, but deep dives validate assumptions, test sensitivity, and improve the methodology. And fifth, audience-specific reporting. The CFO wants financial totals and payback. The COO wants operational impact. The CEO wants strategic narrative. Same underlying data, different lenses.
Maria, what does governance look like on the communication side specifically? Because ROI claims can spread fast once they hit a slide deck.
You need a review process proportionate to the claim. Before going to senior leadership, or certainly external communication, validate calculations and assumptions. Standardize formats and terminology so stakeholders can compare claims across time and teams. Set boundaries on what's not allowed, claims without methodology disclosure, single anecdote extrapolations, unverified numbers presented as fact. And archive everything, the claim, the supporting analysis, and the method used. When questions come later, you can reconstruct the logic instead of improvising.
Jonas, last angle in this section, communication. When you simplify for executives, where's the ethical line?
Simplifying is fine. Distorting is not. You can tailor complexity to your audience, but the simplified version has to remain true. Another ethical trap is selective disclosure. If you only share the wins, you create a misleading impression. A fair standard is representative reporting, results that reflect the portfolio, including disappointments. And finally, be explicit about what's measured versus what's projected. Forecast ROI is not the same as observed ROI. If leaders can't tell the difference, decisions get made on confidence that hasn't been earned.
Now, let's talk about a quiet killer of ROI. We can build models, deploy dashboards, generate alerts, and still fail to capture value. Because value doesn't come from insights existing. It comes from decisions changing. Kwame, how big is the problem of unrealized value, insights produced but not used?
It's enormous. In many enterprises, the majority of analytics output never turns into action. You see it in dashboards that get built and barely opened. Recommendations that get generated and ignored. Accurate predictions that don't change behavior. If only 30 or 40% of insights lead to action, then you're leaving most potential value on the table. And here's what's striking. increasing adoption can lift ROI dramatically without increasing platform cost. You can double realized value just by making the organization act on what it already knows.
Dr. Zhou, why do insights die on the vine, and what actually works to increase capture?
There are common failure modes. Sometimes insights never reach the right person. They sit in a dashboard nobody checks, or get emailed to the wrong distribution list. In that case, you need routing and push delivery. Insights should arrive where the decision happens. Sometimes the insight isn't actionable. It describes a risk or a trend but doesn't suggest what to do. The fix is moving from descriptive to prescriptive. Recommend actions, not just observations. Sometimes there's a trust gap. Decision makers don't believe the model, don't understand it, or don't see proof of accuracy. You build trust with transparency, a track record, and starting with lower stakes decisions to earn credibility. Sometimes acting is too hard. Even with a good insight, bureaucracy and friction make execution painful. You reduce activation energy with automation, pre-filled workflows, and process design. And sometimes incentives are misaligned. If someone is punished for experimenting or gains nothing from acting, they won't act. Intelligence can't overcome incentive design by itself. When you fix these barriers, you're not just improving adoption. You're unlocking ROI that already exists.
Maria, if we're going to treat adoption as a measurable driver of ROI, what do we track?
You measure beyond delivery. First, delivery. Did the insight or recommendation reach the intended person? Second, consumption. Did they open it, view it, engage with it? That requires instrumentation. Third, action. Did they accept the recommendation or change the decision? For that, you need decision capture. Fourth, outcomes. When they acted, what happened? When they didn't, what happened instead? Governance also means targets. If a recommendation system has 10% adoption, that's not just a statistic, it's a performance issue, and it represents unrealized value you can quantify and pursue.
Jonas, there's a fine line here. We want people to use good intelligence, but we also don't want to bully them into compliance. How do you think about that?
The key idea is informed autonomy. If low adoption is because the product is hard to use or insights don't reach the right people, improving the system is clearly positive. But sometimes people resist because they have legitimate contextual knowledge, or because the recommendation conflicts with values or constraints that the model doesn't account for. So adoption efforts should make it easier to act, not harder to refuse. Defaults matter. An opt-out system that implements recommendations unless someone intervenes can become coercive. An opt-in model that requires active acceptance respects agency. The aim is better decisions, not forced compliance.
We're coming into the final stretch, and I want to make this tactical. If someone listening wants to move from, "we think intelligence helps," to, "we can prove it," what can they do this week? Dr. Zhou, give us one concrete action.
Pick one intelligence use case with high adoption and do a bottom-up ROI estimate. Trace decisions to outcomes to financial impact. Even if your estimate is rough, it will show you exactly what data linkages you're missing and what you need to build next.
Maria, your move.
Lock down definitions for 3 metrics you'll need for ROI, 1 revenue metric, 1 cost metric, and 1 outcome metric tied to a priority use case. Get finance to sign off. Without agreed definitions, ROI becomes contested every time.
Jonas, what should leaders check in themselves and their teams?
Audit your last major ROI claim for intellectual honesty. Did you present uncertainty clearly? Did you include costs and failures, or only the win? Would you be comfortable publishing the same methodology if the project had underperformed? If not, adjust now before credibility gets damaged.
Kwame, finish this round.
Measure adoption for one high-value recommendation system. Out of all recommendations generated, what percentage were actually acted upon? If you don't know the answer, that's not a minor gap. It's a clue that your ROI is likely capped by implementation, not analytic sophistication.
Let's bring it home. Intelligence ROI is hard for real reasons. Analytics is an intermediate good, not the end product. Intelligence programs enable many decisions across long time horizons. And the counterfactual, what would have happened otherwise, doesn't show itself. But those are challenges that demand frameworks, not excuses. We talked about 4 pathways where value shows up: growing revenue, cutting costs, reducing risk, and increasing speed and agility. We broke down methodologies for proving impact, simple before and after comparisons, stronger control group designs, benchmarking for context, and bottom-up value estimation for decision-level traceability. We also made something clear: calculation isn't enough. ROI has to be communicated in financial language, tied to strategic priorities, shown with transparent math, presented with honest uncertainty, and brought to life with real stories. And then there's the hidden opportunity, the unrealized value sitting in unused dashboards and ignored recommendations. Sometimes the fastest ROI isn't building a better model. It's building better adoption. Which brings us back to the CFO's question. What's the return? Wasn't a trap. It was the right question. If intelligence is strategic, we should be able to speak the language of returns, dollars, timelines, and defensible assumptions. When we can do that, analytics stops being a cost center and becomes what it always claimed to be, a true value driver. Dr. Lien Zhou, Maria Alvarez, Jonas Richter, Kwame Mensah, thank you for the clarity and the rigor today.
Thank you, Nakel. This is exactly where good strategy meets real arithmetic.
Great conversation. Measurement credibility is everything if we want trust.
Glad we addressed not just the math, but the responsibility that comes with the claims.
Thanks for having us. If you want provable value, you have to build for it.
Next week on The Intelligence Edge, we close out Season 1 with a finale, the Intelligence Maturity Model. We'll connect everything we've discussed across the season into a single framework you can use to assess where your organization stands, and what to do next. Until then, I'm Nakel Nikima. Make better decisions.